under the nights, screaming so loud the echoes inside my head, only silence around, so deep underground. I won't go down like this, I won't be drowned like this, tossing and turning, I'll claw my way out to survive. I won't be buried alive. I won't be buried alive.
Joining me is award-winning Canadian singer-songwriter Krystle Dos Santos, and she's here today to talk about her successful music career and what's next for her. Welcome to the show, Krystle.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell me, which came first, music or acting?
Oh, that's a chicken and the egg question. Kind of. I started taking drama classes when I was in junior high, and but I always had a love for music. So, you know, like Disney movies and dancing around the house, I think singing was my first passion, but I found the outlet for it through drama and through cheerleading, actually, come junior high. And then I finally found singing again, or officially, when I was 17 in high school.
17. And when was your first performance?
Oh, like singing?
Yes.
Ooh, well, I think it was like as a solo artist, probably not until into my 20s, but I went to performing arts college and I started singing and becoming more comfortable with calling myself a singer there. And that was called CCPA, Canadian College of Performing Arts in Victoria. And so yeah, my first solo performance, gosh, I would have been like maybe 25. Wow. Yeah. Like, you know, 21 at school, but like 25 later on, you know.
When did you know at that moment, I want to be a professional singer, songwriter, and actress? Because
you got to like sort of speak it into existence, don't you? And so I started calling myself a singer when I got back from college. And then this wonderful opportunity happened. There was a grant available in Alberta and Saskatchewan through a radio station. And someone helped me obtain this $10,000 grant. Mm-hmm. And with it, I created my first album. But before I ever sang with a band or live, I created a record. So I did it completely backwards, right? And then I was able to sort of eventually find my way to live performance. And the whole way, I think I kept calling myself a singer, telling people that I was a singer. And so I think once you speak it, once you believe it, then you just sort of follow the path to wherever it leads you.
Yes, and Krystle, tell me about the process of doing your first album.
Yeah, okay, well, I got the grant, and the person who helped me obtain it didn't see my vision the way I did. So we parted ways. Let's just leave it at that. And I started seeking out people who could help me. And being in Edmonton, I didn't know many people, but I thought there was a contest on the radio that helped people, make a single if you won this contest. And so I called up the radio station. I said, who's the studio that's doing that work? And they said it was Hip Joint Productions in Vancouver. So I called them up. I said, I have this grant. Can you help? They said yes. I flew out here for 10 days with my mom, and we just hit the ground running. Yeah. I had some structure of songs that I thought that I wanted to write. Again, I feel like I had little to no music experience before this. But, you know, I had scribblings and melodies in my notebook, and then they helped me make a 10-song album, and here we are today. That was the beginning of it all.
And now 4 albums, right?
Yeah, well, the third is an EP, so I don't know if you call it a full album, but yes, this is my 4th official project.
Tell us about your inspiration to write.
Sure. Well, writing for me, a lot of it's personal experience. Most of it's coming from a negative place, because those are the tapes that keep running in your head, you know? Those are the things that you want to sort of like get off your chest. But the good stuff is great too. Like my newest album, like I had a baby during the process of the whole thing. I got the grant to make the album, then I got pregnant. Then we, went through the whole process of having a baby, and now I'm being able to release it. So I've been able to write a lot of happy stuff as well to kind of balance out, all of those inspirations. So it's all just coming from a really personal experience, whatever sort of like, gives you a spark whether it's a good or a bad spark.
Yes. And
Yeah.
is there a favorite place you like to write to get your inspiration? Is it like going for a run? Is it in a favorite place to, like a coffee shop? Like where?
It comes to me in the weirdest places. And honestly, my husband will tell you that like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll wake up with a melody and I'll have to grab my phone and like do something weird like that. And a lot of those inspirations come in the weirdest ways, especially when, I can be in the bath, I can be, falling asleep or waking up. And I was on set for a small role on a show, and one day I was like, this would be a great song. And I have no idea where it came from or what, it's just, I've heard this sort of idea, I can't remember where it comes from, but that like creative ideas float through the air, and if you're sort of in tune with it, you'll pick it up and catch it. And if you're not quite ready to express it, it'll keep flowing and someone else will get it. And I really believe that process, because I think that a lot of stuff really does sort of come through like a little radio signal, and you just either pick it up or you're not quite ready for it.
Wow. And do you prefer performing or writing?
Performing. I feel like that's oh my goodness, big time. Yeah. I feel like that's where my passion lies. And I love the process of writing and creating and being able to get to the point of performing, but performing is always the goal for me, I think. And because it started out in a little bit more of an acting and performance way, I think that's just where my passion lies a little bit more specifically.
Yes, and do you like intimate audiences or do you like large?
I think because I'm doing these school shows now, and I'm getting to perform to 400 to 800 children at the same time. These are some of the bigger audiences that I've had the pleasure of performing to. I try and make any audience an intimate one. So I'd like to say that both I try and make the same experience for them. When I was a little less experienced, I'd say a smaller audience felt scarier because you have people directly looking at you. And in a bigger audience, you can't really see it. It's almost a blackout. But now I try and bring that big audience, even the person way at the back, the 800th person, right in front of me. Because I'd rather it be like, dinner for your best friends at my show rather than, hey, everybody, So I think that's kind of where I've grown to be. And I really enjoy any size audience, and I try and make them feel as though they're in my little cocoon.
So how does it make you feel like when you are inspiring others and like children, right? Is Motown music?
Yeah. I'm bringing History of Motown to schools, and it's anything from K all the way to 12. So it's been the most rewarding experience, this project. And it's been introduced to me by the wife of and she's his agent as well, of another children's artist, Will Strode. And Kim had approached me and said, do you work with kids? You need to work with kids. And so I really credit her with introducing me to the project, and she's sort of a bit of my partnership or ally in getting this opportunity. And it has literally, let me just be cheesy here, fed my soul. It's something that really, you see these little kids, and they, like, all of a sudden there's this like light in their eyes and they come to life. I've been to shows where, little kids will stand up, look around, and then all of a sudden they're not shy anymore and they're just dancing and they're having the time of their lives, and it's such an incredible thing to witness.
I mean, you're a role model and you like to connect with the audiences. And so how does it make you feel exactly, like when you see like, oh, they get it, and like you are a role model? How does that make you feel?
Terrified. I mean, all I can do is try my best. All I can do is pay forward the positive experiences that I've had. But yeah, it's pretty cool because, I think little girls especially come up to me and think that I'm this princess when I wear my sequin dress and a boa and gloves to here in their school gym, and it's quite amazing. But we also do it in big theaters as well. So there's this intimacy, again, in both of those formats that it's pretty amazing to feel like I'm affecting them. But, you have to sort of tread carefully, I guess, and make sure that you're always giving the right impression. But I mean, it's not hard. Like you said, treat people how you want to be treated, and you just give love and they sort of receive it and reciprocate. So it's pretty great.
It's magic. And
It is magic. It is magic.
so tell us about your new album, Burried Alive.
Yes. Well, that's a single off of the album Bloom Burn. And Bloom Burn is a two-sided sort of record that I'd like to say represents sort of a yin-yang, like two sides. Like I said, I write songs that are happy, and then I write songs that come out of negative experiences. And I find both to be super cathartic and really valuable for, my own expression, but also creatively. It's great. And Burried Alive is a song that I wrote that I felt was speaking to how I can get out of negative situations. Like saying that no matter what happens, if I feel kicked down, I can always get back up, AKA I won't be buried alive. Mm-hmm. And when I came to finishing the song and finding an outlet for what I wanted it to represent, it really stood out that domestic violence was a huge sort of beacon to look toward. And I paired with Thomas Affolter from Foreshadow Films, and he's the director of the music video. And he said, well, let's carry on with that. And he was the one who paired us with Dixon Transition Society, which is an association that basically helps mothers and children or fathers that come from abusive relationships to transition out of those relationships, find a safe place to stay, remain anonymous in their process. And I felt so moved by that we made the whole video in representing of that.
Yes, because at the beginning of the video has stats, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's a scary thing, and it's literally a worldwide epidemic. There's not a country or a place on this earth that domestic violence doesn't affect, and it's majority women. I think it's 80 to 85% females that are affected mostly by it, and it's still a problem, and it's been a problem for decades, and it will continue to be one. And I think all we can do is bring strength, bring support, and bring awareness to it, so that people aren't ashamed of admitting that this happened to them, and then being able to again pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and continue. And it just feels like a project that is almost of me, but not, you know what I mean? It's sort of so much bigger than what I could have ever done by just releasing the song on my own. So I feel so incredibly inspired and proud to hopefully help anyone in that way, bring that awareness to anything like that.
Down like this, I won't be drowned like this, tossing and turning, I'll claw my way out to survive. I won't be buried alive. Whoa, whoa. I won't be buried alive.
And you have a voice, and that's wonderful. And tell us about the other songs. Walk Through, Walk On Through.
Walk On Through, yeah. That one's another one that, again, is on the Bloom side. So Burried Alive's on the Burn side. Walk On Through is on the Bloom side. So that one's a little bit more of a positive version of what Burried Alive's message is, where, you just sort of want to keep walking,
Yes.
and you just want to keep walking on through. So I co-wrote that one with Matthew Walco, and it was produced by Ryan Worsley. And again, the horns, and it's super fun, and it's a bit Motown-y, and Motown inspired, I should say. And yeah, it's just a really sort of positive version of coming into yourself, having that confidence, and keeping on going, So I think that's always a message, especially as an artist, that you have to keep telling yourself. If you listen to the negative, if you pay attention to the bad, that's what will sort of continue going. I've had that experience. And if you pay attention to the good and keep telling yourself the positive affirmations, that's what flourishes, right?
Yes.
So,
how do you describe your music? Can you do jazz, pop, soul?
I don't know. It's hopefully good music. Hopefully good music. It's sort of like this amalgamation of all the influences, right? Like my dad had this killer record collection, and the first song I ever learned was Stevie Wonder's Part-Time Lover on a little record like this. And I would read the lyrics, and you know, from Stevie Wonder to, gosh, everyone, the Supremes, and you know, all the music that I've heard, the Beatles, through my childhood. Things that made me happy are what I connect to, or things that really resonate, you know. And I really love the moodiness of certain jazz tunes, and I really love, you know, the expressions of those vocalists and how they use their voices as instruments, like Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday, and Etta James was a huge influence for me. So Nina Simone, I could go on forever. So I think I just try and find those moments and those sounds, and it's hard to put a genre on it, I guess. I call it sort of soul. Just soul.
Yes. And, what about the song Feed My Soul?
Yeah.
Which is fun. I've listened to the song.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us about an experience. You tell the story.
Sure, yeah, no. Well, I needed some inspiration. In 2013, I thought, let me do this thing called a walkabout. And it's a very Australian, you know, Aboriginal concept where they, you know, go on a journey to find themselves. And so I put this, you know, idea in my head. Again, these ideas get planted in my head, and then I can't do anything until I execute it. And so I went on a trip throughout the United States, and I found myself in New Orleans, Memphis, New York, Philadelphia, you know, Boston, all these places, Chicago. And I went into blues clubs, and I went into jazz clubs, and I went to festivals, and I just found so much inspiration. But Feed My Soul came from being in New Orleans. It was during Mardi Gras, which is irrelevant, but it was a little chaotic in the city, and there was a sign that said, "Fried chicken so good you would slap your mama." And I was like, this is comedy hilarity. I have to go home and write a song. And so I did, and then this song came of it, and I sing it at the end of all of the Motown shows. So
great.
Yeah.
So, like, tell us about traveling. You've traveled a lot, but is there like a favorite place that you like to go back to, like Seattle or where?
Seattle's a great town. Seattle is such a cool city. I really love it there, and they've got this great Demetrius Jazz Alley. Oh, it's one of my favorite venues to see any kind of music. And I've seen Liz Wright and all these incredible artists there, like Ruben Studdard and Layla Hathaway, and like huge influences. So that's a nice close one that I really enjoy. And then there's a place where my great-grandfather was born in Portugal called Madeira. And we were going to name our daughter Madeira because we love this place so much. And I've been there 3 times. Is it 3 times? Or maybe just twice. But it's just such an influential place for me. And me and my husband went the first time we got engaged there. And then we went back, and we were so in love with this place. And I find it so inspiring. It's like basically an island just off of the coast of Africa. And it's just like the most amazing, you know, musical fado. They have fado there, which is a Portuguese style of singing. And atmospheric, and it's just such a beautiful, such a beautiful paradise.
And what is next for you, Krystle?
Well, I'm working on a project called Hey Viola.
Oh,
yes. And it is a musical cabaret about the life and experience of Miss Viola Desmond, the Canadian icon. And she's on our $10 bill. Yes. And every time I find one, I hoard it. I have about 20 at home. So don't go into my safe. There's a whopping $200 worth of Viola Desmonds in there. And me and a lovely, amazing writer, Tracy Power, have created this musical that is about her positive experience and all of this amazing sort of business life that she created before the incident in the movie theater happened, where she was dragged out and then basically shamed by her community, and her life sort of fell apart after of this racial discrimination moment. And so we tell of all of the positives in her life, her incredible family life, her incredible business acumen, her incredible everything. And then we talk about the moment, and then we have a little moment afterwards to describe, you know, how the rest of her life went. And we've set it to the soundtrack of all of the music, mostly jazz style, of her time. And it is one of those things, again, that like sparks joy in my heart to perform and to do this show. So that's the next project. Other than, of course, releasing my album on February 28th. So that's Bloomburn on 28th, yeah.
Yes, and you have a child.
Yes.
So how do you maintain your stamina?
Coffee? I don't know. Yeah, I kind of go tag to my hubs, and I'm like, can I just sleep for like 1 more hour? And that usually helps. But she's a really good baby. So we've taken her on tour 4 times now, and she'll be going with us for the rest of the year. And yeah, so she's just the most incredible blessing. I couldn't be more grateful for this sweet little girl. Yeah.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, if people want more information, where can they go?
KrystleDosSantos.com. You can Google my name. I'm on all the things, the socials. Krystle Dos Santos, as it sounds, with 2 S's. So.
Yes, and you also perform solo and with a lot of bands. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, sure. Let me see. It's sort of a corporate style thing for a majority of them, but I also do a tribute to Sade. Which is super fun. I wasn't as familiar with her whole catalog, and now I am fully invested in, like, I am a, big Sade fan now, and she is just the most incredible lady. And so to sing her music is, just another extension of the love that I have for music. And I mean, I've got dozens of other projects, and I do a cabaret where I bring in guests called Underneath the Harlem Moon at Gilton Company, first Tuesday of every month. And so that's another project that really helps me to share my passion.
You are, and thank you for sharing your passion today on the show.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me.
No problem. Love you to come back.
Anytime.
And you are a role model, and thanks for taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks, Christine.